Welcome back to part 5 of my step-by-step tutorial on Rocrail. Today we're going to look at adding a signal, albeit a brief overview of the signals, as I have done a more in-depth video on blocks and signals, which I'll leave a link to at the end of this video. Before we move on, Andrew gave a very valid comment. With the ECOS, you can address the switch in a different way than which I did. If I make sure the power is turned off, I'm going to right click, Properties, and go to the interface. I've got the address free and port 1. Go to my chart. Address free port 1 equals 9. It's the 9th item I have on my system. So I can call it port 9 rather than the free 1. So I'll just show you that. If I call that 0, I call this one 9, click apply, exit. Now when I turn on the power, go to operate, make sure it's on operate, and when I switch it over, you can see 3.1 has changed to straight, and it is the switch number 9 that's switched over. Change it back. So thanks Andrew for the little heads up on the ECOS. Please do check with your command station which way it works. So back to signals. I turn the power off. I go to track plan and edit panel. First I put a signal in here. If I right click, come across to signals. There is a variety of signals. I'm going to put in a basic 2-aspect signal. You'll need to bear with me as my layout hasn't got any 2-aspect green and red signals. I will be using a shunt signal today, which is not really the correct method, as rather than showing green, it will be showing white. So if I put it across here, in the moment the signal is facing this way here, so if I highlight the signal and press Alt R, that will rotate the signal. Thanks for the comment. I really find that quite a useful hint rather than trying to go east, north, west. I need to give it an address so my system recognises it. So I right click on the signal, go into properties, interface, and I'm using my ECOS for this one. This signal is on address 8.1 and 8.2. I need to put in an address here. You have one address in this area here. So I'll give the address for the red one, rather than being 8.1, if I go back to my chart, number 8.1 is 29 and number 8.2 is number 30. So 29, and as I have wired up my red and green signal into different port, I need to go to wiring, go down to LED, and the red one is on my ECOS. It is on port 29. The green one is on my ECOS, and it is on port 30. Click apply, OK. We'll close this down now, and we'll go across to the track plan, change back to operate, we'll switch on the power, and we'll click on the light, and you can see it changing from red to green, albeit white or my layout. Let's move on now to routing, routes and automation of the layout. At the moment I've got 5 blocks on my layout. I find it quite hard to work with a lot of blocks at one time. I like to do one block at a time. As I say again, this is my preference. If you wish, you could go for all the blocks you want at the same time. So let's remove some blocks out of the equation. If I go up to track plan, go to edit panel, I can now move these out of the track lines. So all I have now is block 1, block 2, the switches, and these sensors here. Rocrail recommend to use 2 sensors per block, but as I start off with this one here and this one, I shall only be using 1 sensor per block. So close that. It is important to turn the power off. Now we come down to File. We go right down to where it says Router. And over here we can press Routing, Clean All Routing, Check Health Plan, Extend Check Plan, and Extend Plan Clean. Over in the right hand corner, this information here will tell me if the plan is healthy or not as well. So what we want now is routing. It should pick up block 1 to block 2 and vice versa. So go to routing, and the route generator has recreated 2 routes. So it's going from block 1 to block 2 and block 2 to block 1. Block 1 goes to block 2 from the minus side of block 1 to the plus side of block 2, and vice versa. I'll be going from the plus side of block 2 to the minus side of block 1. So if I right click on Properties, block 2 positive side to block 1 minus side. So when the train goes from block 2 to block 1, we need to tell it what to do. So I'll click on this one here, and we're using sensor 1, FB1. And the event we need to create here is enter to in. Normally you'd do enter and then in. We can also fine tune where the train stops using this event timer in association with enter to in as well. We'll come to that later on. So we'll apply to that. Now we go to block 2, Properties, Routes, and from block 1 to block 2 we need to use sensor number 2, FB2. And the same again, the event we shall be creating will be enter to in. Apply. Okay, as I have a relatively short piece of track on these sections, I need to look at the speed of the locomotive going into these blocks. Now there is several ways we can change the speed of the blocks and also the routes as well. So To look at the locomotive first, if I go to Tables, Locomotive, I click on Speed. At the moment I've got it in percentage, and V min is 10%, V mid is 40%, and V for a curve is 80%, and V max is 100%. So bear in mind these settings here are a bit high for what I want. So we'll come out of the locomotive setting and we shall go to block settings, properties. If I go to the details, we come down to speed. At the moment, this train shall arrive at the mid speed, i.e. 40%, and it shall depart at the mid speed, i.e. 40%. I can change that to min, mid, cruise, or max, or I can go to percentage and take it right down using these ones here. The same for the stopping speed. I can use a mid or a minimal stopping speed as well. Now, another way we can control the speed is to look at the routes. If I go to Tables, click on Routes, and at the moment we've got block 1 to block 2 and block 2 to block 1. If I go to Speed, at the moment I've chosen to use the block speed, i.e. which has been set to mid. I can change the route speed to minimum, mid, cruise, maximum, or the same again, the percentage over here. All depends which you want to do with your layout, how you change things. Some people like to see trains going at 100 miles an hour, some people like to see some slow motion in action. We can change either or all of these to make the train run how you'd like. So we have a choice now then. I'm going to make the blocks slow for all trains. So if I go back to the block settings, Tables, click on Blocks, Block 1, Details. So around mid here, we'll take it to a percentage for both arrive and depart. And I'm going to take it down to 10%. For block 1, and the same again for block 2, we shall do the same. Percentage, percentage, and we'll take it down to 10%. Click Apply. So now we are ready to run a locomotive 1 and block 2. Before I can put the train from block 1 to block 2, I need to make a small change to the train's settings. If I come across here, right click and go to Properties. And if I go to Details, at the moment it is not set as a commuter train. This box does need ticked in order for the train to go back to and fro from each blocks and changing direction. So I'll tick that box. Apply. Okay. So we'll turn the power on. We'll drag Malcolm from here across to block 1. Now When I put the trains into automatic mode, Malcolm will go from block 1 to block 2 and back from block 2 to block 1 and back and forth until I stop it. At the moment I have not got the signal set up yet, so it won't change. Also, we shall look at the distance travelled into each block shortly. So turn on automatic mode, double click this button here, it asks me to start all locos, yes. The junction switch changes and the train starts moving into block 2. Once it's in block 2, it shall stop. It'll wait for a short while and travel back to block 1. Okay, double click it and it'll stop. So we can see the train moves into block 2 just and no more, and it moves back to block 1 just and no more. It isn't not really clearing the switch. So we need to make the train go into block 2 further and into block 1 a bit more. To do this, we'll turn off automatic mode, right click on block 1, go down to properties, into routes. Down here is the event timer, so we'll change that to 5000 milliseconds. Apply, and we'll go into block 2, routes, and we'll change that one to 5000 milliseconds as well. If that is not enough, we can always change it for more time. If it's too much, we can always change it to less time. So now put it back on automatic mode. Rather than click on the start all locomotives, we're going to drag it from one block to the next block. So left click, drag Malcolm to block 2, and we should see the train going a bit further. Also notice this is went blue. This is the event timer. After it's timed 5 milliseconds, it changes from blue to pink and the locomotive stops. So we bring it back into block 1. And it stops, now clearing the junction. It does not let me see the signal, so let's bring it into block 1 a bit further. If I unclick this, properties, go to routes, and this time we'll set it for double, we'll set it to 10,000 milliseconds. Now note this is one way to change the train going into and out of blocks. There is several other ways. So put it back in automatic mode, we'll drag it into block 2. And now to get back into block 1. And hopefully it will clear the junction and the signal so we can see the signal. Perfect. Now let's see if we can get the signal to work. Take it out of automatic mode, right click on properties for block 1, and go to signal. We've got a minus side and a plus side. Block 1 has the signal on the minus side. So if I go to here, click on that and put SG1 and click on apply. Click OK. Now when I move the train from block 1 to block 2, we should see this signal change to green, albeit on my layout it shall be white. So automatic mode back on, bring it into block 2, the signal changes, and once it's in block 2 the signal changed back to red. Well folks, that's enough for today. In the next episode we shall be adding the rest of these blocks in and adding one more locomotive to this layout to see how the locomotives interact with each other in Rocrail. Thanks for watching. Bye.